think too much about what's going on in your swing when you go into the game. At least I can't. You just go out there and compete. But I think we're constantly working. That's the big thing. So I feel good.
When you talk about what you and Chili have been doing with regards to working on your hands, I know you said it's difficult to describe, but what is the benefit of what you're trying to do? What does that allow you to do better?
I guess it allows me to stay in the zone for a longer period of time, to stay on top of the ball. It was frustrating for a bit, fouling a lot of balls back. I went through it last year a little bit, and just pitches that I felt like I should be doing damage with, and so we just get in the cage and talk a little bit, loosen up. It's literally just trying to be as loose as possible in the cage, and so it's been seeming to work, and we'll just kind of work that into the routine a little bit.
Does that also help you follow through into full extension on a swing? Is that part of it as well?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of things it does. It allows me to clear my hips and put everything into sync. Not allowing my hands to get ahead of my body. Just kind of trying to have everything moving together the way it should. So just syncing everything up, and then that turns into, the extension that is after the fact. So, we just we're continuing to work. I mean, that's just like all these guys. We all have things that we're focused on, and but Chili always preaches, at the end of the day, or when the game starts, you just throw all that out and just go out there and compete. So I think that's when we play our best.
Well, that guy right there is such a huge part of what the Mets are trying to do this season. They need him to produce in the middle of that lineup, and he certainly has last couple of nights. Talked about the fact right there that he wants his hands to stay on what he called his natural path.
Yeah.
What exactly is that all about?
Again, verbiage that's being used for the first time on a hitter. It's not just something that, the cliche answers. So what you're getting is actual verbiage, the path that he wants to take to the baseball. We noticed this year that he's not holding that back elbow up so high. He's trying to be more relaxed and more calm with his hands, letting them work in sync with his body. Sometimes they get out of sync trying to be too quick. They get out a little bit in front of his body. See him let that ball travel so deep. You hear that time and time again. That's the cliche. The reality is the path he took to that baseball was a much more natural path for him to do damage on a mistake pitch. He hadn't been doing that. We saw it in San Diego. We saw it in Milwaukee, where he could not get to that baseball the same way. Sometimes it's a mental break. It's a mental check-in, and being able to talk to your coach that way gives you a chance to explain some of the things you're feeling, and then they worked on it.
Well, two Mets had multi-hit games tonight. One was the pitcher, Jacob deGrom, and the other was Michael Conforto. Big part of this 4-1 victory. Final game of the series coming up out at Citi Field tomorrow, as we get checked right now. Your WB Mason heads up. Noah Syndergaard going to be on the mound for the Mets. As I said when this series started, you had Wheeler and deGrom and Syndergaard have to try to sweep this series against the Marlins. He's been really good against Miami in his career. Caleb Smith has been the best pitcher on the Miami side over the course of his last 5 starts. And Michael Conforto, big-time numbers against the Marlins so far this season. Our pregame coverage getting underway 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Nelson and I are going to be along with you as the Mets go for the sweep of Miami. That is going to wrap up Mets baseball on this night, but the coverage, it continues here on SNY. Geico Sports Night takes over right now.
Breaking ball hit out to right field. Back goes Cooper onto the warning track at the wall. It's out of here. Pete Alonso goes the other way to give the Mets the lead. Conforto drives one. Forget that. That is way out of here. Back-to-back home runs for Alonso and Conforto, and it's 3-1 New York.
Finally, some run support for Jacob deGrom on Saturday. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to Geico Sports Night. I'm Chris Williamson. So the Mets offense did their part, but would deGrom handle his business against Miami? Moving pictures ahead.
And I'm Maria Marino. Yankees also back in action Saturday. Could they keep gaining on the AL East leading Rays? Plus, we'll hear from Coach Adam Gase and our NFL insider on the Jets rookie orientation. But we start with the Mets taking on the Marlins in the second game of a 3-game set. To the highlights. Jacob deGrom looking for his first win since April 3rd and looked sharp early on. First inning, deGrom gets Miguel Rojas to chase. Second inning, deGrom freezes Garrett Cooper. In the fourth, Neil Walker goes down swinging. Two batters later, Jorge Alfaro does the same. Sixth inning, deGrom strikes out Brian Anderson and then blows one by Cooper. deGrom's 8th strikeout of the game. Bottom of the 6th, tied at 1. Until Pete Alonso changes all of that with a go-ahead home run that clears the right field wall. Alonso's 12th of the year. Mets lead 2-1. Next batter, Michael Conforto sends a blast out to right, his 8th home run of the year. Back-to-back homers by Alonso and Conforto give the Mets a 3-1 lead. Later in the inning, deGrom helping himself at the plate with a base hit to center. Brandon Nimmo scores from second. deGrom's 2nd hit of the game. Mets lead 4-1. deGrom back out for the 7th. Former Met Curtis Granderson grounds out to first. As deGrom covers for the final out of the inning, deGrom pitches 7 innings, gives up 1 run, and strikes out 8. Mets win 4-1. Here's deGrom.
I had a couple bad ones in a row, and I wasn't too worried. I was looking at things. I was leaving the ball over the middle of the plate. And last year, that was something that I didn't really do. So I think it was just getting my location back.
He's back. I mean, there's no, I kind of figured that, a couple outings ago. Oh, he looks like Jacob deGrom again. He's confident. He's executing pitches. He's keeping runners off base. He's keeping them from scoring when he does.
He's a Cy Young winner for a reason, and having that type of ace on the mound gives, every time he takes that mound every 5th day is just gives us it's definitely a morale boost for sure.
If Jacob deGrom faced the Marlins every time, he would be smooth sailing for another NL Cy Young Award as we look at his last 2 starts versus Miami, presented by Geico. Gone 7 innings, both games, 22 total Ks, and has just given up 1 run. Call him the Marlins killer. All right, time for Baseball Night in New York with Anthony McCarron and John Destrzemski. So, fellas, Jacob deGrom only gives up 1 run, 5 hits. This is his 3rd great start. Is deGrom back?
I'm willing to go there now, Chris. I wasn't for a while just because of the injury scare, and I wanted to see a little sustained excellence from deGrom before I was willing to pronounce him what he pronounced himself and Mickey pronounced himself. So now I'm on board too. But yeah, I think he is definitely back, and I think that's trouble for the rest of the division, the rest of the season, because he looks healthy. He looks like a guy who feels like his old self, like his Cy Young type self, JJ.
You remember we had a conversation, Anthony, a couple of weeks ago when it comes to the Mets starting pitchers. Who are you more concerned about, Noah Syndergaard or Jacob deGrom? And my answer at the time was Noah Syndergaard, because what we saw on Saturday night and what we're going to see the rest of the year from Jacob deGrom is just vintage Jacob deGrom. There are certain guys that just have the ability to go out every 5th day and dominate. He's more than capable of doing so. And if you think about a couple of the bad starts he had, you had a 3-hour rain delay. He's coming off the injured list. I never wavered. deGrom A-OK, but let's not forget, the Miami Marlins, fellas, are an absolute embarrassment as a baseball team. So, yes, Jacob deGrom is back, but I have to take this performance and any Met performance with a little bit of a grain of salt, because this is a Marlin team that, make no mistakes, going to lose well over 100 games.
Right, so deGrom's doing exactly what he needs to do, not exactly surprising. Now, he also did it on the bat as well, had a couple hits. Speaking of hits, the offense finally gave him some support. I mean, how big was that 6th inning when Conforto goes deep, Alonso goes deep, JJ?
What a concept, right? The Mets actually scoring runs for Jacob deGrom, and it just didn't have to be Jacob deGrom doing it himself with an RBI hit. And look, Michael Conforto, to me, is the guy you're encouraged about here. Pete Alonso, another opposite field home run. That's like par for the course. It's amazing with Alonso so far this year, the way his power has just translated to dead center and going the opposite field. But Conforto, to me, is one of these guys that has to step up. And unfortunately, he's been way too hot and cold throughout his entire career. I mean, we've seen Conforto at his very best. It's been an all-star team. We've seen Conforto at his very worst, getting sent back down to the minor leagues. He's past that point. He's a fixture here, but it's about being a fixture and playing and performing at a high level. You hope this weekend is the start of that.
Yeah, JJ's Marlins disclaimer applies on offense too, Chris.
Does it?
Yes,
Good to know.
absolutely. But look, Conforto is a big deal. Him getting himself back together, with some big power hits here. He was struggling before this weekend series started, but he was still walking, and I count that as a big deal because that means he's still sort of in command of his at-bats a little bit, even though he's not producing big hits. He's still getting on base at a decent clip, which he was, and he's one of the best on-base guys in baseball. So I wasn't worried that this was going to be a year-long funk or anything, but, JJ, you're right. He is a streaky kind of hitter, and I think we might have to just accept the cold snaps with the blazing hot stuff, and maybe for the Mets, this is, hopefully for their sake, this is the start of something big.
Right, but what do you think it's going to take for him to really put together a consistent run so we don't see this hot...
That's the million-dollar question, right, Chris? We've been trying to figure it out for 4 years now.
The second half of last year, I'll take that again. I mean, that was pretty good stuff.
But you don't want that first half, though.
No, but that you can blame, I think, on the recovery from the injury.
Potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was really a big deal for him last year, coming off of the shoulder and just getting to be 100% healthy. There's a difference between 85% feeling okay and still playing, but it's the major leagues. When you're 100%, obviously you're a lot better.
Right, you better actually do what you're supposed to do, get paid millions of dollars for it. Now, looking ahead to Sunday's game, Thor is taking the mound. He's struggling in his last start against San Diego. If you're looking at more importance, do you think it's more important for him to have a great start or for the Mets to get a win?
I'll take the Met win, Chris, because, I know that he's sort of an ongoing issue here, but this is a club that really needs to win games, and they need to beat bad teams like the Marlins. I love the idea that they had this big meeting on Friday where everybody said, yeah, we got to do better. Of course, they did it before a series with the Marlins. I mean, give me a break.
How convenient, right?
Right, yeah, low-hanging fruit right there. So, look, they need to complete the sweep, I think, and if this guy pitches decently and they win the game, I think that's fine. I'd rather have that than him pitch great and them lose 1-0.
This is an absolute no-brainer. The Mets need to win baseball games. End of story. When you think about what happened in San Diego, what happened against the Milwaukee Brewers, if Noah Syndergaard throws 7 or 8 shutout innings and the Mets end up losing, what is there to celebrate? I mean, you think about the Mets, they need victories. End of story. And Anthony pointed it out, this 16-game stretch. We have the Marlins for a bunch of games. You have the Nationals, who are not playing particularly well. You have the Detroit Tigers. You need wins. End of story. So if it's 5 innings, 3 runs from Noah Syndergaard, and the Mets go out and perform offensively, take it.
All right, well, Syndergaard has performed very well against the Marlins. In 8 starts, he is 6-0, so hopefully he can do the job as well as the offense, who have been very up and down. Anthony, JG, you guys are not done. We'll see you a little bit later with the Yankees. Now, for more, let's send it back to Maria.
Thanks, Chris. We are just getting started here on the show. Coming up, CC Sabathia taking the mound for the Yankees against a division rival. Could he get another win? Highlights are next. Plus, Jets' first-round draft pick Quinnen Williams is already a fan favorite. More on him as we check in from Jets rookie orientation when Geico Sports Night continues.
Geico Sports Night is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote.
So you're open all day, every day?
That's what 24/7 means, sugar.
Kind of like how you get 24/7 access to licensed agents with Geico. Yeah, you just go online, give them a call anytime.
You don't say.
Yep. Now, what will it take to get 24/7 access to that lemon meringue pie?
Pie!
Pie's coming!
That's what it takes, baby.
Geico. Great service from licensed agents 24/7.
Life is just as powerful as the Lexus RX.
As many safety features as the RX and newer. The Lexus RX has met its match.
If they're talking about you, you must be doing something right. Experience the style, craftsmanship, and technology that have made the RX the leading luxury SUV of all time.
Lease the 2019 RX 350 all-wheel drive for $399 a month for 36 months.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
It's a fact that Michelin tires are designed to maintain braking and handling performance throughout the life of their tires. It's also a fact that Town Fair Tire is New England's largest discount tire dealer. And while Michelin Tire has the right tire for every car, truck, van, SUV, and more, Town Fair Tire has the perfect price. The guaranteed lowest price on any Michelin tire you need. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody.
Name brands at discount prices. Town
Yankees at Rays, bottom second. No score, CC Sabathia on the mound. Aviseo Garcia takes it deep to center. Solo shot. The first of 2 home runs. CC would give up 1-0 Rays. Later in the inning, 2 on, 2 outs. Sabathia gets G-Man Choi looking to limit the damage. Sabathia went 5 innings with 3 hits, 2 runs, and 2 Ks. Not a bad performance. Top 5th, the Yankees down 2-0. Clint Frazier hits it deep to center off Yanni Chirinos. The ball bounces in the puddle on the warning track. Gleyber Torres racing around the bases. Just barely beats the throw home on the Frazier double. Yankees trail 2-1. Top 6, same score. DJ LeMahieu lifts it to left center. Kiss it goodbye, people. It is gone. LeMahieu's 2nd home run of the season, game tied at 2. We move to the bottom of the 6th, 2 outs. But Jonathan Holder in trouble with runners on the corners. Willie Adames grounds it at LeMahieu. He makes a nice stop, but can't get the out. Garcia scores, and Rays take the lead. Bottom 8th, 4-2 Rays. Yandy Diaz takes a Nestor Cortes pitch deep to right. 3-run jack, his 2nd long ball of the game. Yankees lose 7-2.
Back here with Anthony and JJ to talk Yankees. Fellas, at this point, we know what CC Sabathia is, right? 5 innings, couple earned runs. So we're going to focus on the offense right now. Brett Gardner is who I want to ask about. He's batting 199 in the 3-hole. At what point do you get concerned, Anthony?
Well, look, I mean, his performance isn't what he would like it to be, what the Yankees would like it to be, what any of the fans would like to be, obviously. But my question is, who else is playing? You know what I mean? They are at a point injury-wise with all the guys on the injured list that he needs to play every day. And this is something that the Yankees have wanted to get away from over the past couple of years because Gardner has proven to sort of wear down as the season goes on and his performance suffers. Now his performance is at a not-so-great level, and we're not even that deep into the season. But he's got to play every day because they don't really have anybody else, JJ.
Obviously, the Yankees got to get some healthy bodies back here as soon as possible. And you think about Brett Gardner coming back. I had no problem with Brett Gardner coming back. This is a guy who has been a heart and soul guy. This has been a guy who's been a glue guy for the New York Yankees. So I'm fine with him being on this 2019 team. The reality of the situation is this. Once you get Giancarlo Stanton, once you get Aaron Hicks, who could be back for this series against the Baltimore Orioles, back in the lineup, I think you're going to see less and less of Brett Gardner. And you could even make the argument Cameron Maybin has given the Yankees better at-bats than Brett Gardner. Now, I know it's a small sample size. You want to take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But the Yankees cannot look at Brett Gardner now as somebody who is going to anchor the lineup, who's going to be the guy that was the top the order, playing like an all-star like he did in 2016. Those days are done. I think by the end of this year, you're seeing Gardner where he belongs, 4th outfielder.
I think a lot of Yankees fans are torn on this. Some have sympathy, some are, they've had enough. But moving into Sunday, it's Tanaka on the mound. How big would it be for the Yanks to take this series with the Rays? It's obviously an important series.
It'd be huge, Maria. I mean, obviously, we didn't expect the Yankees, these injured, wounded Yankees, the B Yankees, to be where they are, so close to first place. I mean, this was kind of a tread water situation. Hope you sort of stay around while everybody heals and not crater. And the Yankees have actually seized it. And some of these guys, Gio Urshela and some of the other names, JJ, have come up and played really well for them. So if they could get to within a half game of the Rays after a series like this, that would be spectacular stuff from them and really send a message to the rest of the division. The Red Sox are starting to heat up and play well like the team that we thought that they sort of were going into this season. So every, move that they can make counts now, especially when they're so badly injured.
Well, I think we've learned it's going to be a 3-team race in the American League East. Tampa Bay is for real. But you think about Sunday's start, you have Blake Snell, who is a guy that won the Cy Young a year ago, taking on Masahiro Tanaka. What do we know about Masahiro Tanaka? When you put him in the prime stage, when you put the bright lights on him, he seems to be at his very best. He's been the Yankees' best postseason pitcher each of the last 2 years. I think this is a big game. I think this could be a little bit of a statement series, and I'd love to see the Yankees go out, Tanaka outpitch Snell, have the little engine that could line up, do enough, and take 2 out of 3, knowing Tampa's coming to the stadium next weekend. But, guys, schedule after they take on the Tampa Bay Rays going to lighten up for this Yankee team. Good sign. Baltimore Orioles a bunch over the next 2 weeks.
There's certainly a lot of optimism just with what the Yankees have been able to do, especially with all these injuries. But let's move on to a little news item that came up. The Yankees are on Madison Bumgarner's no-trade list. It's kind of complicated, but basically it's for leverage for him for negotiating. A trade could be more possible for him. So should the Yanks go all in on pursuing him?
Absolutely, Maria. You know, they are a team that's going to be looking for some rotation upgrades as they go forward into the trading season later on during this summer. So this is definitely a guy that you should look at. I mean, obviously, he's not the same guy that we've seen raise his arms on the mound at the end of the World Series, the dominant force for the Giants in the postseason. He's only started, I think, 38 games over the past 2 years coming into this season because of injuries. So that is an issue that is sort of out there. He's got his, if the season ended today, 3.99 would be his career worst ERA. So we're not looking at the Madison Bumgarner champion guy, but he's probably an upgrade.
We've seen this so many times over the years. There's certain guys who have that, like, flair for the dramatic. Madison Bumgarner has
you,
the...
JJ.
I do. I mean, listen, I do. When it comes to Geico Sportsnite hits, when it comes to the thread. But we're talking about October premier pitchers. Madison Bumgarner fits that description. I will never forget what he did winning a world championship for the Giants, putting the team on his back in 2014. I think everybody around here remembers what he did in 2016, shutting down the New York Mets in the wild card game. I know his numbers are not as dominant as they've been, but you put Bumgarner on a winning team, change his scenery, I think it will change things dramatically. And if you're the Yankees, considering you're looking for guys who could be difference makers in October, if he's available, you want him.
Even as a rental, JJ.
Yes.
Because he's going to be a free agent after the season, which sort of
Time to win a championship, though, right?
Yeah, and I mean, he would like to be traded, too, because that would give him an opportunity to not have a qualifying offer attached and a draft pick compensation attached to him. So he's got motivation to go,
like Verlander a couple of years ago.
True.
Fits that bill.
Yeah, well, ask Keuchel how the qualifying, turning down qualifying offers work.
Now fun.
Right.
Certainly something to think about. John Jastrzemski, Anthony McCarron, thank you guys so much.
Sam Darnold showed late last season that he was the Jets' franchise QB, and now he must continue that momentum on their new head coach, Adam Gase. We'll hear from Gase about how his young QB's looking so far in the offseason when we return.
Get saving on appliances at PC Richard & Son. Let our experts help you find the right appliances that are perfect for you and your budget. All the quality brands you love at the guaranteed lowest prices. And when you want it, need it, just gotta have it, we'll get it there the next day. It's time for new appliances. Find yours at PC Richard & Son, the official appliance, electronics, and mattress retailer of the New York Mets.
Hey, Tony.
Hi, Glove.
You like baseball?
Yeah, of course.
Great. Scan this numbers ticker with the New York Lottery's Collect and Win app. Attaboy. You're entered to win up to $5,000 in StubHub gift cards for events like this. Now raise your hand, Chief. Enter your Win 4 and numbers tickets with the Collect and Win app from the New York Lottery.
No matter what you're looking for, with the Hyundai family of SUVs, everyone wins. The Hyundai Tucson is an IIHS top safety pick. The Santa Fe is Kelley Blue Book's lowest 5-year cost to own in its class. And the Kona is the 2019 North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. All three were designed to blow away the competition. The longer you look, the more there is to like.
Now lease a 2019 Tucson for $179 a month, or get up to $3,500 in total savings. Hurry, offers end June 3rd.
As a rookie with the Jets, Sam Darnold's quarterback rating was third worst in the NFL. But in the final 4 games of last season, his completion percentage jumped from 55 to 64%, while he threw 6 touchdowns and just 1 interception. Head coach Adam Gase had some high praise for Darnold, who seems poised to keep improving.
What I've seen so far in our phase 2 workouts and his relationship with the receivers and the running backs, the tight end, I really like the way he works. I love the way he studies. The way he throws the ball is very impressive. It's just he just naturally he rolls out of bed and he can sling that thing, and it's fun to be around how intense he is every day, trying to make sure he gets better. And I think really for us, it's going to be about how far can we take it? Can we keep all our guys healthy that he's working with? Can we keep building chemistry? You know, and if we do that, then that's going to give us a really good shot to have a good year.
Coach Gase was speaking at rookie orientation, where the Jets' new additions have been getting acclimated to the team, Chris.
That's right, Maria. Now here's Janae Coakley with more on the current state of the New York Jets.
Thanks. I'm here with our NFL insider, Ralph Facciano. Ralph, we heard from Adam Gase for the first time since the draft. What'd you think?
Well, he loves his draft class. There's no doubt about it. Of course, what coach doesn't?
Exactly.
He's optimistic about what he's seen from his team this offseason. And really, it's the same vibes you got from him as what you've gotten from the Jets all off season long. It's all positive. It's new. It's fresh. They feel like they've got a good team. They're not saying it necessarily. We're not going to hear the word playoffs anytime soon, but you can tell there's an energy with him and with this team right now.
And you could hear the excitement in his voice when someone asked him about Quinton Williams,
Oh,
who was
no doubt about
fabulous, by the way.
He's terrific. To listen to him talk, his personality is infectious, and he believes he is going to come in and dominate in the NFL. And he said this before the draft. He said it at the draft. He's a guy who is just so confident that he can play any position along the defensive line and seems like a really good kid as well. You know his teammates are going to love him.
A lot of talk has been made about Le'Veon Bell not being here at these voluntary workouts. Adam Gase didn't seem concerned and said he will be here for the mandatory camp. He expects him to be here for the mandatory camp.
Yeah, Gase did not seem bothered one bit by Le'Veon Bell not being here. I still think it's a bit of a bad look for a guy that didn't play all last year, took a lot of money for the Jets. You would think that he would at least show up for the beginning of the offseason program. Some coaches would be furious with that. It's clearly not the case with Adam Gase. I've heard that from behind the scenes, too, that, well, some people are not happy. They're not really all that worried. I think they kind of knew going in that this was Le'Veon Bell's plan, and Adam Gase is going to let it roll off his back when he gets here for the mandatory camp. Then they'll get to work, and I think everybody expects that Le'Veon Bell will be ready to go.
Another thing Adam Gase discussed was talking about how he wasn't too concerned about Ja'Kai Polite. That he's 21 years old, he's made mistakes in his past, and he's moved on, and he's excited to have Ja'Kai here.
Yeah, and Ja'Kai spoke too, and he talked about how this has been a very humbling experience for him and eye-opening, and in a way that he learned about himself. He talked about how he learned that he was doing some immature things, and that's really kind of a big step because not a lot of players, not a lot of people would be able to recognize that so quickly. And I think that the Jets have the right perspective on it. And while his combine performance, where he was apparently terrible in interviews with some teams and bad with the media, and maybe have showed up a little bit out of shape, those are things that certainly rubbed some people the wrong way. They weren't crimes or really big red flags. They were, as Adam Gase said, basically a sign that he's a 21-year-old kid who hasn't figured it all out yet. And the Jets think they have a good system in place here to get his head screwed on straight, get him on the right track. And if they do, they might have come up with one of the steals of the draft.
I mean, 21, who really does have it together?
Exactly. We don't have it together at our age.
Exactly.
So we'll give the kid a break.
All right, for Ralph Facciano, I'm Janae Coakley. Back to you.
Thanks, Janae. Coming up in just a little bit, the Lakers finally grab a head coach, and it wasn't exactly the sexiest hire that many thought they would end up making. We'll tell you who after the break.
Geico Sports Night is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote.
My family doctor said you have to go to the best place, and the best place is Sloan Kettering.
Carl is a very likable, genuine person. When we first met, we talked about baseball.
He said, Yankee fan? And I said, yeah. He said, I'm a Red Sox fan.
Carl is free of cancer, enjoying life, and continuing to torture me with emails about the Red Sox.
I have a structured settlement, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
I have an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. 877 cash now.
They've helped thousands, they'll help you too.
One lump sum of cash they will pay to you.
Get long-term payments, but you need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
877 cash now.
877 cash now.
877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth.
Keith Hernandez here, and I'm here to tell you about the Mets bullpen jackpot sweepstakes from the New York Lottery. All season long, if one of our Metsies hits a home run off the New York Lottery sign, one lucky contestant can win cash. For every game that the sign isn't hit, the bullpen jackpot goes up and up and up. Visit sny.tv/New York Lottery for your chance to win.
This Aaron Hicks injury report is presented by Hospital of Special Surgery. Hicks went 3 for 4 for the Yanks AAA team down in Scranton Saturday, including a homer. He's been rehabbing a lower back injury since the season started. Now, before